Amina Smith in for Malika Andrews. I'm joined by our cast of writers. We got David Dennis Jr., Ramona Shelburne, and Hall of Famer Mark Spears. And guys, thank God we are not writing the checks, okay? Because they're handing out money like it is absolutely nothing, but a lot more of that to come. So let's go and take a look. And here are some of the biggest names who are still eligible to sign extensions this summer. Starting in Houston, the Rockets made a big move getting Kevin Durant. However, he is on the final year of his current deal. They can offer up to 2 years, $118 million for that extension. So, David, how should the Rockets play this?
They should just pay the guy. It's Kevin Durant. He's still playing as well as he has been. You know, he said that he wants the next team to be his last team. I think he believes that. I think the Rockets factored that in when they traded for him. I think this is just going to happen. Yeah, and then you have Mikal Bridges also, not the only Knick up for an extension. Karl Anthony Towns also eligible. Now he has 3 years left on his contract. However, could tag on 2 years for $145 million. Ramona, is this something that the Knicks should do?
I think they will do it at some point. The question is, what does it look like? Every single other guy in this core has taken just a little bit less, and that started with Jalen Brunson. This core went to the Eastern Conference Finals. They were just a little bit away from beating the Pacers, and so I think they want to lock up Karl Towns at some point. The question will be for how much, and does he give them any kind of discount?
Now, Ja Morant also has 3 years left on his deal in Memphis. Mark, he can sign a 2-year extension. Should Memphis get something done now or just wait on this deal?
I feel like they're going to be patient. You know, it's been a tumultuous couple seasons, injury play couple seasons for Ja Morant, and unfortunately, they probably feel like he needs to prove himself a little bit and show that, you know, the talent's not a problem, but the issues have been.
Yeah, let's welcome you guys here on ESPN right now. David Dennis Jr., Amina Smith, Ramona Shelburne, and Mark Spears here with you, talking about some big names in the NBA. But there's also one more name with some urgency. We got Trae Young in the final year of his deal with the Hawks. He's been extension eligible for about a month now, but no deal struck so far. And you have to imagine he's looking very closely at his fellow point guard in De'Aaron Fox on the max deal he just signed as well. Trae dropped a revealing post earlier this week. And if you're following NFL news, you've probably seen Micah Parsons is in a contract dispute with the Cowboys.
He wrote a book.
Yeah, he wrote, exactly. He did write a book. Take a look at this reaction from Trae Young right here. Quote, "This is why you pay the man early. When someone will take less early to stay in a place he wanted to be forever, you do it. The price only goes up now. Get what you deserve, bro." Look, I know social media is almost like just telling. Whenever somebody retweets something or says something or quote tweets, you know there's some emotion there. What do the Hawks do with Trae Young?
Well, first thing is, if you're Trae Young, you got to be thankful you don't have to deal with Jerry Jones. So that's a good thing that you got in your favor. I mean, the Trae Young Hawks thing is really fascinating to me. I mean, this felt more tenuous a few months ago. The Hawks made the offseason moves with Porzingis and, Alexander Walker, and it felt like there really is some enthusiasm here. Because for me, with the way that this team looks, this is going to be a top 4 team in the East, and I think there are some Pacers potential for this year for this team in the playoff run. The question, if you're the Hawks, is Trae Young the guy? Can he be your Tyrese Halliburton with the size, with the defensive liabilities? Add in the fact that if you do give him this contract, you got some young guys who are going to be coming up that overlap with this contract. And then you have to think about what's the market for Trae Young if he goes out there? Is he going to get max money somewhere else? But on the other hand, you have to pay the tax of being the Hawks. This is the biggest star you've had in 35 years. Stars do not come to Atlanta. So then you have one who's already in your pocket. You may kind of want to pay the guy. And you, again, like I said, you have a potential to make a real playoff run. I don't think you want this contract thing hovering over this year as you're trying to coalesce around this star.
Yeah.
You know, Trae has done a lot to show that he's invested in the Hawks. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Kennard, he convinced them to sign with the Hawks. Instead of going with the Jordan thing this summer, he came to Summer League and he got to meet with, Bryson Graham, the new president, some of the other new front office guys. So there's a new front office in Atlanta that's trying to make decisions. But what I'm hearing now at this point, and you could tell by Trae's tweet, and I saw him during the finals, I think he's disappointed that it hasn't come. It hasn't been offered. So don't be surprised at this point that he plays this out and sees what happened next summer. But to me, Trae has nothing to prove.
So, and here's the overarching question here in the NBA is when they did the new CBA, they made it so that you could offer an extension earlier. And this is somewhat what led to De'Aaron Fox ended up being traded out of Sacramento. Sometimes, as one GM told me, sometimes you don't want to know the answer yet, right? he still has 2 years left on the 5-year extension he signed before, Trae.
Yeah.
So this is early, and as he sort of suggested with that, whether it's a subtweet or just reacting to Micah Parsons' notes comment to Jerry Jones, this is early, and when you do something early, sometimes guys are willing to take a little discount. But they've had an opportunity to do something early, and I think if you're the Hawks, you might want to see how this team plays it out right now before you commit all that money to Trae Young. You might want to see if these moves work out. You want to see how the young players grow together. But because the extension rules now have been changed to where you get the answer early, it's created a friction here.
Yeah, I almost feel like you don't want that hanging over your head, though.
That's
I feel like that's a really good point. You don't want, especially if you're a star player, you don't want that issue hanging over your head for the whole season.
He's their new Dominique Wilkins.
Yeah.
He's the best, one of the best shooters in the league. I don't think he has anything to prove. But they're just new sheriffs in town that are trying to figure out what they want to do with this new young group.
Yeah, but you want to get this thing settled, I think, because like I said, look at where the East is. Look at what the Hawks have done. If I'm Trae Young, I said I've got you guys to Eastern Conference Finals. We can talk about all the stuff that happened and get us there, but I got you to Eastern Conference Finals, and it was just me. And now we have a team around me that I can finally get you guys maybe to that we're excited about, that really has a shot. There's no Boston. There's no Pacers there. Let's just get this thing figured out, and trust me, from everything I've done, trust me to get us over that hump, because I can do it.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack with that Trae Young situation this offseason and going into next season. It's just 24 hours since the Spurs inked the same max deal with De'Aaron Fox, so let's take a look back at their offseason. The Spurs have had one of the busiest offseasons in the league. They saw Greg Popovich step down as head coach, with Mitch Johnson taking over full-time. Johnson coached the final 77 games last season for San Antonio. The Spurs made 2 lottery picks this year, taking Dylan Harper with the second pick in the draft and Carter Bryant with pick 14. Both rookies showed some serious promise at Summer League in their first action after being picked. And San Antonio continued to get good news this summer as Victor Wembanyama was cleared to return to basketball activities. Wemby was shut down for the season in February due to a blood clot in his right shoulder. However, the 21-year-old is set to return this season. And then his all-star teammate, De'Aaron Fox, got his max extension on Monday. Fox inked a 4-year deal worth $229 million and keeps him in San Antonio through 2030. So Fox is 27 and firmly entering the prime of his career, and the Spurs hope to capitalize on that with this commitment. His new deal kicks in at the start of the 2026 season, and at that time, he'll be the second highest average value in the league for any guard, only behind Steph Curry. So Ramona, there's been a lot of talk on social media between yesterday, this news coming out, and right now, whether or not De'Aaron Fox, not that he deserves the deal, but if they should pay that much for him. What say you?
Listen, it's a percentage of the cap. So I know that all of us look at the numbers and we go, wow, that's a lot of money. But it's a percentage of the cap, just like it's always been a percentage of the cap. And I think when they made the trade for De'Aaron Fox, they always knew they were going to give him this deal. This is not a surprise. There was no debate within the Spurs of do we do this? Do we try to commit? No, you would make the trade because you're going to lock this guy up long term. Yet you happen to hit in the lottery, and you have the number 2 pick, and now you have Dylan Harper, and this years down